Senator Mustafa, you are forming a different Senate from the Senate we have. Today alone, I've seen so many senators coming to consult you. I'm becoming suspicious. Yes.
That my experience as Chief of Army Staff was actually very challenging but rewarding. Challenging in the sense that being a service chief in Nigeria, it's something that requires courage, extreme dedication, and commitment. And that means you have to submit yourself totally to not sleeping, to not having any time of yours, and doing everything under duress to make Nigeria safer. Now, what are the challenges here? We all know that the resources are not enough. The enablers are not enough. So it makes it very difficult to get everything required to prosecute the war against terrorism, banditry, and other sundry crimes in Nigeria. Well, I believe with this Allot chamber having to support me, things can be better. And it's important for us to know that for Nigeria to move forward, it's imperative that we develop our own local military-industrial complex, because we can't keep on buying equipment from outside, because these things are extremely expensive. So it's incumbent on the country to develop its own capacity to produce the required equipment to prosecute wars and checkmate challenges facing all of us. And apart from this, we all know that we are dealing with every kind of warfare these days, which includes cyber crimes, cyber warfare, cyber attacks, and all in that light. And it's important for us as a country to checkmate the kind of misinformation that's out there. Because if this is not checkmated and on time, I think our challenges will be far from over. Then, as Chief of Army Staff, I made it a point of duty to improve the welfare and well-being of my soldiers and their families. But again, despite that aspiration, it became difficult to achieve in total because of lack of resources. It's very easy for people to say that soldiers being a soldier is just like any other job. But I want to tell this Allot chamber with all due respect that there's something special in being a soldier. Because as a soldier, what it entails is that you have sacrificed your entire life for others to live. And for you to be a soldier, there's some element of madness. What do I mean by this? For a right-thinking fellow, when there is danger, you are expected to retreat. But for a soldier, you are expected to go forward and face that challenge. So a soldier is just not an ordinary person. So it's important for us to look at soldiers the way they are looked at in other climes, giving their due respect, provided for. and maybe things will be better for us. Then added to this is the need for us to improve maybe probably restructure the police force, because most of the job that is being done by the army as we speak actually lies within the purview of the police. So it's important for the nation to empower the police, make it stronger, make it more formidable, so that they can do their job while we concentrate on defending Nigeria against external aggression. So when you aggregate all these points that I made, then I can tell you that my tenure as Chief of Army Staff has been quite challenging. But I can tell you that within the ambit of what we have and the resources made available to us, we're able to face some of the challenges. And I believe that things have improved tremendously, but we can do better. But in doing better, it requires a whole society approach. Everybody must be involved. I don't think it should be left only to the military to prosecute and face all these challenges. It's not going to work. It's important for all hands to be on deck to make Nigeria safer. That's my humble submission this afternoon. I thank you very much.
With us, the Major General Shuaibu, Chief of Army Staff. We have Rear Admiral I. Abbas, nominee for Chief of Naval Staff. We have with us Air Vice Marshal S.K. Aneke, nominee for Chief of Air Staff. Now, each of them will take this podium. I will only ask one person or so per zone to ask them questions in the open. Then we'll go into closed session, because security is a serious business. And then everybody will have the right to ask any question. Because some of the answers they will give are not necessarily answers for television. So we can discuss and come out and also guide based on inputs from our constituents. But in the open, you can ask just a question that is not too deep, so they don't have to mention names of bandits here. But when they are together with us in the closed session, you can go ahead with the various questions that will enable them to speak freely. But in the meantime, may I invite the nominee for the office of Chief of Army Staff, Major General W. Shuaibu, to please take the podium.
And Chairman of the National Assembly, distinguished Senator Godswin Obot Akpabio, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Badaro Ibrahim Jibril, Commander of the Federal Republic, Principal Staff Officers of the Senate, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a special advisor to the President on Senate matters, Senator Bashir Lado, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Honorable Badaru Abubakar. I say good morning to all our members in this hollow chamber. I am Major General Waidi Shaibu. I was born on 18 December 1971 and hails from Olama Boro local government area of Kogi State. I gained admission after completing my secondary school to the Nigerian Defense Academy as a member of 41 regular course and was granted a regular combatant commission on 17 September 1994. I was posted to the Nigerian Army Armored Corps throughout my military career. I've attended several professional courses and academic courses, both home and abroad. Some of these include the Battalion Commander's course and the Armor School, while the last and most significant is the Counterterrorism Fellows Welfare Program at the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. I hold a Bachelor of Engineering degree in Mechanical Engineering, a Master's degree in Public Administration, a Master's degree in Strategic Studies, and a Master of Arts in Strategic Studies from Washington, D.C. I also hold a Diploma in International Security and Combating Terrorism from the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. I also participated in various seminars and conferences throughout my career, bordering on hybrid forces, counterterrorism, and gray zone operations. I have been promoted to my ranks as and when due, being promoted to the rank of Major General on 10 December 2021. I have held various appointments, cutting across my formations, both staff, instructions, and command appointments. I was the Chief of Staff to the Chief of Defense Staff of the Armed Forces of Liberia. I was Chief Instructor at the Nigerian Army Armored School in Bauchi. Thereafter, for my command appointments, I was the commanding officer of 245 Battalion in Munguno in the Northeast, Brigade Commander, 21 Special Armored Brigade in Bama in the Northeast. Thereafter, General Officer commanding 7th Division and Commander Sector 1, Operation Hadinkai in the Northeast, before becoming the Theater Commander, Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai, equally in the Northeast. Currently, I'm holding the appointment of the Director of Armor Research before being appointed as the current Chief of Army Staff. Throughout my career, I've made it a duty to train as a Chief Instructor in the Nigerian Army Armor School, to train and mentor junior officers in the art of armor doctrine, as well as when I was the directing staff at the National Defense College, Abuja here. I was part of the team that introduced to the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Defense College, the concept of strategic estimate, which culminated in the publishing of the College Median Strategic Thinking and Planning. I've also mentored participants, both international students as well as own students throughout. For my staff appointment, I was privileged to have trained officers in the Armed Forces Simulation Center, and also was instrumental in contributing my own quota to critical bilateral agreements of Memorandum of Understanding between Nigeria and the Kingdom of Jordan, as well as various ECOWAS initiatives. I was part of the fact-finding mission to Guinea-Bissau, as well as the commander of forces in that general area. All my operational experience, all my command experience have been in the Northeast. Nigeria encountering terrorism. Indeed, from my early days as a young officer, I've been involved in operations that cut across the length and breadth of this country. As a young platoon commander in 242 Reki Battalion, I was deployed in the defense operations in Umfum border in Operation Hammoud Itre. During that operations, we have led troops to counter the incursions from the Republic of Cameroon. I was also the commanding officer of 243 Reki Battalion in Mungunu in the Northeast, where we defeated the Boko Haram insurgents in 2015 when the insurgents were trying to renew their offensives. In that operations, I was wounded in battle, and I was granted the Purple Heart medals for officers that have wounded in battle. As brigade commander in 242, in 21 Special Armor Brigade, I was instrumental in restoring safety to that general area that culminated in the neutralization of 442 insurgents and the recovery of various assorted arms and ammunition. As General Officer Commanding, I will introduce the various pillars for the defense of that general area in my sector area of responsibilities, with significant humanitarian gains, including the rescue of 11 Chibok girls that have been in captivity. A lot of terrorists surrendered during my tenure as General Officer Commanding 7th Division. As theater commander, we were instrumental to the neutralization of 567 Boko Haram terrorists and the recovery of assorted arms and ammunition. To improve the integrity of our defenses in general areas, we leverage technology to improve various long-range surveillance cameras to give our troops foreknowledge of enemy infiltrations. We also introduced decapitation operations that led to the neutralization of key terrorist leaders. I have been privileged to have various honors and awards ranging from the Meritorious Service Star, the Grand Service Star. We are commemorated with the Field Command Medal of Honor, and the Nigerian Army Outstanding Operation Medals for the Nigerian Army, and the Defense Operations Medals. Sir, for the past 5 years, I have been deeply involved in deep-rooted operations to rid our country from various terrorists that have been disturbing in the Northeast. I believe that with my wealth of experience that I bring to the table, I will consolidate on my predecessors' achievements to create a very secure environment for socio-economic activities to thrive across our nations. Thank you, sir.
Ibrahim Dankombo, I represent Gombe North. Your Excellency, like you have rightly noted, this officer, well-trained, well-fitted, you see him, typical how a soldier should be looking like in Nigeria. He's somebody too I have privilege of having interacted with as a former governor of Gombe State. And him and his team have worked very hard, because one thing is terrorism or Boko Haram or anything, and the other people is the de-radicalization of those kind of people. So, working with them and their team, we set up an institute in Gombe, in Malan City, which de-radicalize these kind of elements. And they go through proper training, proper scrutiny and the rest. And eventually, most of them are de-radicalized. But at the end of the day, the problem is how to take them back to the various communities from where they were coming from. So my question now is, as the new Chief of Army Staff, we have made an effort working with them as a team to make sure that when they are de-radicalized and taught certain kind of profession, that they require a kind of paper or identity, diploma's degree, to push it forward so that they can properly fit into the community where they are coming in. So how does he intend to assist those kind of elements fit in properly by making sure that that institute, either as an army institute or as an independent agency, is made to achieve that objective? Thank you, Excellency.
Distinguished colleagues, so this one is that he has just introduced himself, and he needs to answer a few questions because Nigerians are watching. And the rest of the very deep questions that I know you have, we will have them in the executive session with them. The day is for them. In the US Congress, sometimes they take 2 days to interview and screen a nominee. So this one we are prepared to take till Sunday to be able to get answers to our security situation. So the whole day is for them. But the Senior Senator, Issa Jibrin, did you say that he's your neighbor in Kogi State? Or an attestation? So that is enough for the open session. Distinguished nominee for the office of Chief of Army Staff, you've heard it all. Attempt to proceed answers.
I will take the questions as they come, starting with that of Honorable Senator Mohammed Mungono, which borders on terrorism and insurgency. Before moving to take that of Honorable Mohammed Alero, that borders on welfare of troops and the Lakaroala challenge. Before ending, my apologies, distinguished senators. So I start with that of terrorism and insurgency. The various adversarial threats that crowd across the northwest and the northeast flanks of our operations actually require multifaceted approach across all domains of operations. I leverage to consolidate on my predecessor's methods. I've been with him throughout our career, especially in the northeast region. For terrorism and insurgency, we intend to leverage on technology to improve our night fighting capability, effective training of special forces, to improve our insurrection and strike capabilities across all terrains, both day and night. And we tend to dominate all terrains, ranging from mountain ranges, muddy terrains, and all land terrains across our country, with effectively training additional special forces and special operation forces that we can insert for strike ability. As the distinguished senator knows, most of the attacks in the Northeast have been within the wee hours of the morning, between midnight and 03 in the 300 hours in the morning. So we are going to improve our night fighting capability to counter those threats. We will leverage on intelligence to give us the requisite intelligence to deal with this issue, emphasizing synergy with all security agencies to the extent that we have effective multi-domain and multi-agency operations to tackle that threat. And I believe this will go a long way to stem those tides. For troops welfare, the fighting power, the components of fighting power, the moral component is an important aspect, and welfare of troops is a cardinal point in that issue. I intend to improve troops welfare generally to enhance the living and working condition of our troops, encouraging financial support and assuring quality access to both health care and education. So those initiatives to improve troops welfare will be holistic, that revolves around both housing and infrastructure, financial support, increase in allowances, and ensuring timely payment of their due benefits, and improve health care for all our troops, both wounded and personnel and their families. In the long term, we ensure that we enhance their career development and providing the requisite training to ensure that they embody the special skills of soldiering in all fronts. All this encompasses how we are going to focus on improving troops' welfare. The Lakurawa challenge and the banditry in the Northwest, luckily, I have been in that theater of operations to conduct assessment visits within that frame. And I'm fully aware of the Lakurawa challenge. And I assure you that with our improved training and special forces insertions, we are going to deal with that challenge and bring that issue to a very close. Now to the distinguished senator, burden on the deradicalization of people. Currently, we have Operation Safe Corridor operating in Gombe, whereby all the modalities have been in place to ensure effective deradicalizations of those surrendered bandits. And what we provide for them is skill acquisition to make them viable as skilled members of the society. Now, reintegrating them into their various communities, that is not within our purview. Properly deradicalized, you have to work with the various communities, the community leaders within that general area to see how they can reintegrate them into their various communities. So it requires a whole of society approach, and we'll be counting on the distinguished senator from that general area to help in convincing the people whereby these people have committed atrocities against to accept them as their brothers. One will bring them to their various communities. Now to the last question from the Senate President, but bearing in mind the financial and logistic constraints, how we proceed with what we do. This will border on effective management of resources to ensure that we get the best out of available resources. But security is not cheap, so we'll still be coming back to the holy chambers for improved remunerations to the armed forces so that we can, together, solve the problem of our nation in terms of security challenge. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Rear Admiral, a brief resume, disclosures you reserve for a closed session. You may proceed.
Your Excellency, the President of the Senate and Chairman of the National Assembly, distinguished Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio, Grand Commander of the other senators, the Special Advisor to the President on Senate Matters, Senator Bashir Lado, Commander of the Order of the Niger, Honorable Minister of Defense, His Excellency Badaru Abubakar. Good afternoon. I am Rear Admiral Ide Abbas, born on the 20th of September 1969 and hail from Kano State. I had my primary education at Gogora Primary School in Kano from 1974 to 1980. Thereafter, I proceeded to the Air Force Military School, JOS, from 1981 to 1986. I was enlisted into the Nigerian Defense Academy in September 1987 and passed out of the academy in 1993 and commissioned sub-lieutenant. I obtained a Bachelor's of Science degree in chemistry. In the course of my career, I have attended both mandatory courses and courses that enhanced my career. Notable among the courses I have attended the sub-technical course and the officer's long course specializing in above water warfare. So I'm an above water warfare specialist in the Nigerian Navy. I also attended my junior and staff courses at the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji, Nigeria. I was also at the National Defense College here in Abuja for my strategic course. In the course of my career, I have held various appointments cutting across staff, instructional, and command appointments. I have served in various Nigerian Navy ships as a young officer. I also held the appointment of gunnery officer of Nigerian Navy ship Ohue. I was also an instructor at the Above Water Warfare School, where I specialized. And after that, I had the privilege of going back to my alma mater as the commanding officer of Bomber Battalion, Nigerian Defense Academy, where I played a pivotal role in shaping the next generation of Nigerian military officers who coincidentally are holding the ranks of lieutenant colonels today, most of them. I was also at JOS, Operation Safe Haven, as a sector commander, doubling also as the contingent, Nigerian Navy contingent commander. Thereafter, I had the privilege of also holding another command appointment at NIMASA, that's the Maritime and Safety Agency, as the Maritime Guard Commander, and my work there was to assist NIMASA in the enforcement of their rules and regulations, particularly helping in the arrest of erring vessels. Also, thereafter, I was appointed the task group commander of a task force which was purposely put in place to combat the menace of piracy, which was becoming a serious issue, particularly around the Bonny axis of our waters. And where within that the period I commanded the task group, a lot of successes were recorded. I was also privileged to hold the appointment of a command admin officer at the headquarters Central Naval Command in Bayelsa. Thereafter, I was appointed as the commander of Nigerian Navy ship Victory in Calabar. As fate will have it, from Calabar, I was posted back to Yenegua as the Chief Staff Officer, Headquarters Central Naval Command, after a stint of about a year, I was reappointed the 12th flag officer of the same Central Naval Command, covering Bayelsa, Delta, Imo, Kogi, and Anambra states. I was also privileged to serve as the Director of Operations at the Naval Headquarters, where I oversaw the planning and execution of naval operations in maritime domain, as well as internal security operations across Nigeria. I was also privileged to have served as the Chief of Safety and Standards at the Naval Headquarters. From there, I was appointed the Chief of Defense Civil Military Relations at the Defense Headquarters, from where I proceeded to Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center as a Senior Research Fellow. That is the current appointment I was holding before I was nominated as the Chief of the Naval Staff. Among my decorations, I hold the Forces Service Star, Distinguished Service Star, Grand Service Star, and lately, the Defense General Service Medal. I am a member of some professional bodies, amongst which are the Nigerian Institute of Management, Institute of Professional Security. So at my leisure, I enjoy playing hockey and driving. I am happily married and blessed with 2 sons.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, as Chief of Naval Staff, your activities have direct bearing on the economy of the nation, particularly when you view it from the standpoint of oil production, oil theft, vandalization of pipelines, and piracy and others. So you will permit me to call on 1 or 2 people to ask questions before we go into closed session. Distinguished Senator Abiru represents Lagos with a lot of water. And I think they are trying to build a second seaport. Is Senator Abiru around? Okay. Senator Dafinone. Senator Dafinone, would you like to ask any question?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, sir, thank you very much for this privilege. I believe going through the CV, and even before the CV, I believe the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria must have already satisfied himself that you have the formal training to enable you to do the job for which you have been nominated. And I think the nomination is the word, not appointment yet, because we have to confirm. But I find interest in some of the points made about de-radicalization. It doesn't matter whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force, it's all armed forces. Given our experience in the past where some Boko Haram people who were captured, and to use the word of the chief of, I believe, Army staff, who talk about people who have committed heinous crime, be reintegrated. Not a few people wonder how you can describe, on the one hand, somebody, a heinous criminal who has killed and maimed children and women, that you can reintegrate him into the larger society. And many have argued that some of those people in the process take advantage to familiarize themselves with the new environment and go back to what they have been doing, which then defeat the entire effort that you have put in apprehending them in the first instance. So this whole concept of the radicalization it's an issue for me. And Mr. President, you just took it from my lips, sir, that I think the Navy has a good role to play. From all that I've heard from people who know you, I understand you can fairly be described as a no-nonsense officer. And therefore, the Navy will be under your command in very good hands. I am clear about that. But what will you do to ensure that these leakages that we still experience in oil bunkering, our president has rightly asked this question, because there are a lot of mixture now between Navy and other non-state actors involved in protection of our oil wells. And then lastly, the issue of, recently we had proposal for setting up of a marine guide. And the House was divided whether we need to have another outfit specifically devoted to water security in addition to the Navy, or whether is it not better to re-equip the Navy and strengthen it so that we have the capacity to further reinforce what it's already doing to protect Nigeria waters across the country. Thank you, Mr. President, sir.
Sir, I will take the questions randomly. Some are related to each other. I will start with the last question asked by distinguished Senator Olamilekan, that what measures do I intend to put in place to curb criminalities in the maritime environment? What I will do is, already we have existing structures towards curbing maritime crimes. What we shall do is to look at what is currently existing, and what I intend to do is to further incorporate more of technology, that is the use of drones. We already have what we are doing. We are going on patrols. At times, some of these patrols don't really yield positive results because of the nature of some of the locations. Aside from that, resources are being wasted in fueling some of these boats to get to where these criminalities are happening but cannot proceed further. So what I intend to put in place to further enhance what we are doing now is the use of technology, and that is drone. That is what I intend to put in place. Then, sir, to distinguished Senator Wadada, sir, your question borders on giving attention to the inland waterways, and your concern is the window between Benue and Lokoja. And so I think the answer to this, we have a solution already. We have established a special operations command with headquarters in Benue State, Makurdi, sir. So this is going to be used to challenge that, sir. Thank you, sir. Then, sir, to distinguish Senator Oshomole's questions, there are 3 questions here. I will start with the last one, and that is the issue of Coast Guard, whether there is any need for it. Sir, categorically, I will say we don't need that, because the Nigerian Navy is already doing that with what we have. One of our roles is Coast Guard duties, which is what we are doing. Creating another agency to do that work, it would be a duplication of function. Rather, I would advise that even if it is half of the funds that are going to be used to establish the Coast Guard, it can be used to enhance the platform availability of the Nigerian Navy. So, sir, my take is we don't need to have any Coast Guard. We are already doing that job. Thank you, sir. Then leakages caused by oil theft and illegal bunkering. Sir, we are aware of this, and like I said, most of where these illegalities are happening are hard to reach areas. And I can say those are minimal theft, but which, if accumulated, amount to a large volume. At least out at sea, we are able to block the usage of large oil tankers, which hitherto were usually anchored at high sea, and smaller vessels are used to fuel them with the stolen cargo. So we are looking at this also. The use of this same drone technology and other technologies will help us block this more. Then, sir, the first question, the issue of de-radicalization. I totally agree with the Chief of Army Staff nominee's opinion. De-radicalizing the repentant criminals is a good way forward, but what of the moral burden? These are people that have killed, have maimed, and been integrated back into the society, to my mind, may remind relatives and family members of those that they have maimed to think in another direction. Those are, to my own opinion, the radicalization of repentant criminals will be looked into and tweaked. And if I may advise, before such is done, if families have been identified that have lost their members through those people, there is need to contact them, talk with them if they accept for those people to be granted that amnesty after the radicalization. Then to the first question by distinguished Senator Dafinone concerns what plans do I have for the Navy in view of the emerging challenges and with relation to other services. So we already have our total spectrum maritime strategy, which covers various areas of our operations. So we are looking at that, and one of the challenges that we are faced with now is that of kidnapping, banditry, oil theft. So the total spectrum maritime strategy of the Nigerian Navy takes care of these various layers of challenges, and my belief is we cannot do it alone, and hence we have to work together. It is a whole of society approach, and particularly for us, the armed forces, we have to synergize, whether we like it or not. That is the only way out that we can get out of the problems our country is facing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, the nominee. Is it the view of the
President of the Senate and Chairman of the National Assembly, distinguished Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger. Your Excellency, sir, Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barrow Ibrahim, Commander of the Federal Republic. The principal officers of the Senate, distinguished senators, the Special Advisor to the President on Senate Matters, Senator Bashir Lado, Commander of the Order of the Niger, Honorable Minister of Defense, sir. Sir, permit me to skip through the protocol of appreciating Mr. President and acknowledging the great work this great institution has been doing for Nigeria. I will just go straight to my resume, sir. I am Air Vice Marshal Sunday Kelvin Aneke, born on the 20th February
1972 in Makurdi, Benue State. I am from Umuaga in Udi, local government of Enugu State. And I was commissioned into the Nigerian Air Force on the 10th of September, 1993, as a member of 40th Regular Combatant Course of the premier and great institution of the Nigerian Defense Academy. My early education started with the Army Children's School, NDA, Kaduna. I attended Government College, Kaduna. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in physics from the Nigerian Defense Academy, a certificate in aeromechanical engineering from Technical Training Group, which is now the Air Force Institute of Technology, postgraduate diploma in management from the University of Calabar. I have 3 masters, one in international affairs and diplomacy from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, another one from political economy and developmental studies from the University of Abuja, and masters in strategic studies from United States Air Force Air War College, Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama. I also possess a professional certificate in aviation safety management from Embry-Riddle University, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Florida, USA. I am currently pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy to reflect my enduring commitment to knowledge, research, and strategic thought. Over the past 3 decades, I have been privileged to serve in various command, instructional, and staff capacities. These have broadened my perspective and strengthened my leadership experience. Some of these appointments include admin officers in some units like the Aircraft Maintenance Depot and 301 Flying Training School in Kaduna. I was also the commanding officer, Base Services Wing at the Maritime Group in Benin. I was the Wing Chief Operations and also Wing Chief Admin and the Fleet Training Officer in the Presidential Air Fleet, Abuja. Some of my senior appointments include Director of Policy, Nigerian Air Force Headquarters, the Director of Safety in the same headquarters, Deputy Director of Operations, Nigerian Air Force Headquarters. I was the commanding officer, also the Command Evaluation Officer in both Tactical Air Command and Air Training Command. I was also the Chief of Staff at the Air Training Command. I was the Deputy Commandant, Nigerian Defense Academy, where I contributed to bringing out the best set of officers this country will ever find. And most recently, I was the Air Officer Commanding Mobility Command, Yenagua, where I oversaw enhanced mobility, joint operations, and strategic response and coordination. As a career pilot with over 4,300 flying hours, I am type-rated on the Air-B218 extended version, the Donia 228, Citation 500, Gulfstream 5, Gulfstream 550, and the Hawker 4000. I also have the advanced training pilot license, which is what culminates in a pilot's career. My operational experience spans both domestic, international theaters, from Operation Restore Hope as a young pilot in the Niger Delta to United Nations peacekeeping operations in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where I served as the Chief of Operations, Kindu Region. I have the following medals: GSS, DSS, GSM, FCM, and the rest of others. These experiences have collectively shaped my understanding of air power employment, interagency cooperation, and the indispensable role of oversight and accountability in achieving national defense objectives. I am happily married to my beautiful wife, Ms. Ngozi Aneke, and I have 3 sons. Chukwuebuka Kelvin, Ifeanyi Chukwu Brian, and Uchechukwu Jason.
Distinguished Senator Kawu Sumaila, resume your seat. Distinguished Senator Kawu Sumaila, resume.
And lastly, my hobbies include flying, basketball, and listening to music. Thank you, sir.
Senators from other areas. But let us start from the ancestors, the landlords of the Senate. Distinguished Senator Abaribe.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, I am Inaya Abaribe, and I represent Abia South. Mr. Nominee, from the CV that you have given us, very impressive. And we also know that Nigerians are very happy with the efforts and how you have helped in decimating all the criminal elements that are holding us to ransom in the Northeast and the Northwest. However, recently, we have noticed a very disturbing trend, and I'm sure the Air Force knows about that, which is the use by all the criminal elements of weaponized drones to attack the communities in and around Nigeria, which means that these elements have upgraded their technology. And as someone that we have seen from your CV, having been Director of Air Operations in the Congo and also in the Nigerian theater, what would you do as Chief of Air Staff to combat this technological improvement by the criminal elements in our midst? Because we know that with them, this will only escalate if you do not decimate them immediately. Thank you.
My name is Oji Ozokalo. I represent Abia North of Abia State. Mr. Nominee, my question could have gone between you and the nominee for a chief. I wanted both of you to explain to me.
You still have the opportunity in closed session.
It could have gone to both of them.
No, I said you have the opportunity in closed session.
Yes. So my question goes straight to you, but you can also answer with him. If confirmed you are going to be Chief of Air Staff, and he's going to be Chief of Naval Staff, I want to know the synergy you will bring, because in our water territories, you are not very active there, and the Navy, the air power of the Navy is also not very active there. What are both of you going to bring in to use the air power to mine our high seas where this oil is being stolen? Because it's only a cooperation between you, Navy, and I think the Army also have air power. I don't know how effective it is, because you cannot continue patrolling. This could have come to Chief of Naval Staff with boat. It's not going to cover the event. So Air Force should find a synergy with the Navy on how to monitor and man the Gulf of Guinea, and also River Niger, River Benue, and all the rivers. Because people are smuggling even in the little rivers. They are carrying barges to go to Atlantic Ocean. So I want you to explain what pride you will bring in helping the Navy, or the Navy helping you in using air power, because we don't need only boat now. We used to go by air power. Thank you, Mr. President. It's just a simple question.
I represent Enugu West. Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity to speak about the nominee, who incidentally is from my senatorial zone. My question is more technical and tactical, so it will come in the closed session. But I would like to show gratitude. In my place, we say that ingratitude is second to witchcraft. Mr. President, I bring gratitude from Umuchi Nemerem in Umaga, where he comes from. Gratitude from Udi local government, where both of us come from. Gratitude from Enugu West. Gratitude from Enugu State and the Southeast in general. Mr. President, appointment of service chiefs in the past government from Southeast sometimes will look impossible. But today, under this government, we are having it back to back. The immediate past Chief of Naval Staff is from Enugu State. And I want to appreciate the President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for also finding our son, who is worthy to be the nominee for Chief of Air Staff. We have never, in the history of Nigeria, had it this way. I want to thank the President for finding our son, the brilliance in AVM Aneke, whom we have seen from his CV and from when he spoke that he is going to bring value to the system. Mr. President, we, from where he comes from, have only gratitude to show to the President. We know our son is going to make us proud. We know he is going to deliver, and we will support him. And I plead that also all his colleagues and my colleagues here will lay their voice to ensure that he is confirmed. I thank you, and I rest my case.
We have a tendency to answer questions with proverbs. I'll start by saying my former boss, when I was in NDA, he used to have a proverb. He tells us all the time. The world is changing at a very rapid rate, and those that will survive will not be the strongest, the fittest, or the boldest. Those that will survive are those who have the capacity and ability to adapt, I use the word adapt, to the rapid changing scenarios that play themselves. I have a joke I tell my friends. The enemy you are fighting went to school. He's as smart as you. Your greatest mistake is to look at the clothes they are wearing and assume they are ragtag people. My intention,
well guided.
My intention is to fight professionally, aggressively, and offensively, because the enemy can only work to harm you when he is calm. A man running will not have the time to plan to hurt you. So, as the Chief of the Air Staff, if confirmed, sir, my duties are very clear, direct, and they are, and simple. They are to secure the lives of Nigerians, their liberties and aspirations through the instrument of air power in conjunction and synergy with both my colleagues in the military and the other security organizations. This is not merely a professional mandate, but a sacred trust between the Nigerian Air Force and the people we serve. Every decision I make, coming to the question of working with the Navy, Any decision I make, every policy I craft, and every mission I authorize will be guided by this singular purpose, which is to safeguard our nation and preserve peace and stability.
Sorry, we are not interrupting you.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Lado and Senator Ladon, please, can you step outside and continue with the meeting? No problem. Go and have security meeting outside. Chief, sorry for a brief interruption.
All right.
Continue.
Like I said, it's not just a professional mandate. It's a bond between the Nigerian Air Force and the great people of Nigeria, which we are here to serve. Coming to the question that I was asked, the Air Force, like I said in my CV, one of the early units I flew in was the Maritime Group in Benin. And some of the challenges being expressed here were the challenges I saw while I was there. But in those days, we didn't have drones and UAVs. So I intend to liaise and synergize with the Navy. Thank God I have a very good working relationship from academy up to this level with the Chief of Naval Staff. And we will try to encourage our subordinates to walk along the same line. If confirmed, I will dedicate myself to building a combat-ready Air Force, one that is operationally versatile, disciplined, and lethal. I use the word lethal, and I use it in a professional sense. Like I said, the man running from you will not have the time to sit down and plan. We intend to keep them busy, sir. My goal is to ensure that the Air Force responds swiftly, strike decisively, and adapt intelligence across the full spectrum of military operations. This will be achieved through rigorous training, professionalism, sound doctrine, robust logistics, and a strong culture, safety culture, and the advancement of research, innovation, air-mindedness across all ranks. And I want to insist on the usage of leveraging technology. And you will see more of unmanned aerial vehicles and drones. Like I said earlier, sir, we intend to fight smartly. When you find yourself in the battle, it's not the strength you have that matters. It is the brain you have that solves the problem. Coming to the questions asked by the very distinguished senators, Senator Abaribe, Senator Uzokalu, Senator Osita, the minority leader, Senator Nengi, and the distinguished Deputy Senate President. First, I'll answer them in no particular order. Sir, aviation is a very expensive business. You might hear the word 1.2 billion. 1.2 billion in the aviation environment is like a spoon fetching out of the ocean. So you might, if you do the calculation of what it takes to train one pilot, you understand the cost, both in dollars and naira. Some of these weapons we fire are one missile. Some of the cheapest are as cheap as $100,000. And you fire these things every day. So it is not a business for the chicken-minded when it comes to finance. So please, I solicit your cooperation to use the money intelligently and squeeze the last dollar of the value of what you give us. It doesn't cut across the Air Force alone. It also is the same thing with the Navy and the same thing with the Army. The armed forces is that part of government which you must spend money and hope not to use. If you do not have it, you are a chicken waiting for the hawk to be carried. If you have it, no matter who the person is, you can look the person in the face and take them out. I have served in countries like the United States, and I want to assure you, sir, a Nigerian is a proud person anywhere. our standards are high. I've flown with Americans. I've flown with people from everywhere, and they respect us. All we need is support. Now, sir, for the Super Tucanos, sir, the Super Tucanos are doing what they've been paid to do. We have young men and women sacrificing their life while people are sleeping. Most of the operation they do, we are giving you value, sir, for your money, because the equipment in those Super Tucanos are extremely expensive. They are located mostly in the northeast and mostly in the northwest. And every night, these same thousands of dollars of weapons are being fired. Just that the armed forces, especially the Air Force, we cannot come out and show everything we do. But I assure you, sir, those airplanes are flying. You can cross-check, sir. They are flying. It's just the kind of war we are fighting. It is not face me, I face you. So we have to synergize with our brothers in the Army and the Navy. But I assure you, sir, those weapons, you can cross-check me, sir. Because even as far back as yesterday night, I have one of the junior officers that is somebody I'm mentoring. And they are fighting. They are not grounded. They are not grounded, sir. We will, like I said, sir, we'll do more of fighting smartly. Because some of the things some of these Super Tucanos can do, those drones can do them with less danger to your personnel. So, sir, I can go on and on and on. And I hope I have, by chance, answered most of the questions that the distinguished senators have asked. But I will conclude by saying, sir, we are here to serve. And we are here with my colleagues to give you the best. We are here to squeeze every dollar, naira you spent on us to ensure we give you value for what you have paid for. Once again, thank you, sir.
That the proposed chief of air staff takes a bow and waits for the executive session. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chief, just before the point of order, in terms of time? Okay.
To sit beyond 3 p.m. to enable us finish the proceedings.
John, that the Senate do extend its time to sit beyond.
That this hallowed chamber extends its sitting today beyond 3 p.m. to enable us conclude our screening and confirmation of the service chiefs. Those in support of the motion and move say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The last speaker educated us on. I have a few takeaways. Number one, that action is taking place on a daily basis, that the armed forces are not sleeping, that Nigerians should be reassured that the evil they see today, they will soon see them no more. We have to go by what he also pointed out. He said that from where he comes from, he can answer some of the questions with proverbs. And one of which is that do not assume that the person you are fighting did not go to school. Don't assume that a person is not educated. Don't assume that a person does not know your tricks. It is not your strength, but your brain that will take you out of dangerous situations. You agree with him? Thank you for the summary. No more speeches, but I would like because of his presence here, I want to recognize the Chief of Defense Intelligence to just step forward, take a bow, and go back to his seat before we move into closed session. Major General. Distinguished colleagues, I would not like to see any quarrel between Baba Adini and distinguished Farada. Distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko and distinguished Senator Mustafa Saliu, let us return the sanctity of the chambers.
Order, please. Senator Wadada, take your seat. Senator Kelvin Chukwu, take your seat. The chamber is ready for business, sir. Chamber is ready for business, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate, in a closed session, had very serious and intensive deliberations with the nominees of Mr. President for the offices of Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Army Staff, and Chief of Defense Staff. So let me, on behalf of the Senate, thank you for the, please, let's continue. Let me, on behalf of the Senate, thank the nominees, the people that accompanied them, including the Minister of Defense, and the family members and associates. And to say that all the senators had occasions to interact with them, and they brought various suggestions, correspondences, and questions from all the states of the Federation, including the FCT, and from all the senatorial districts in the country. They have answered all questions. In the course of the interactions, the service chiefs have made us to understand that even their predecessors were not just involved in maintaining law and order in the country, they also went further to try to provide social amenities, such as schools in areas where there was total dilapidation as a result of insurgency of existing facilities. And these schools are being manned by national orientation agencies who have been enlightened. And they urge other agencies of government to step into those areas and then do more for the citizens to be happy. Surprisingly, they are also in tune with the current realities when they also pointed out. One of them said that when he was a young lieutenant, he used to attend local government security meetings. But now local governments are not functional as they ought to be. And because of that local government security councils are no longer holding. So security is very close to the local governments, not just in terms of intelligence gathering, but also in terms of being able to fight the insurgents. Because in every local government, they will know those who are strangers amongst them, and they will also know the bad eggs amongst them. So they urge us as a parliament, National Assembly as a whole, to do everything possible to ensure local government autonomy. Again, to our surprise, in spite of the fact that they are here for the armed forces, they went further to say that they want to urge the National Assembly to also protect the police forces and its other agencies that complement the efforts of the police. That if the police are much more functional to take care of internal security, then it will relieve the army a lot to focus on external aggressors and those who want to divide this country. And they are determined to cooperate with the police, and they urge us to empower the police to also do well. I mean, these are issues of patriotism. Because if they were not patriotic, they would talk about themselves alone and go without even urging us to do everything possible to ensure that whatever the police is serving now in terms of infrastructure, in terms of capital for expenditure, we should enhance it, because that will help them also to alleviate the plight of soldiers. So we are quite grateful that we had the many hours of interaction. And in view of this, senators have no further questions to ask than to go into the normal procedures of further legislative actions, which must be in their absence. So is it the view of the Senate that the service chiefs designates, having acquitted themselves creditably in the closed session, be allowed to take a bow each and leave us? If it is in the affirmative, can you say aye? Aye. Those against, can you say nay? The ayes have it. Chief of Defense Staff? A motion has been moved and seconded that Order 12 of our standing orders on floor privileges be restored. Those in support that the sanctity of the hallowed chamber be restored, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. So the Senate is in session. So, distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluide for appointment as Chief of Defense Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Major General W. Shuaibu for appointment as Chief of Army Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Will the Senate approve the nomination of Rear Admiral Aya Abbas for appointment as Chief of Naval Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate approve the nomination of Air Vice Marshal S.K. Aneke for appointment as Chief of Air Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of nominees for appointment as Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Service Chiefs for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The nominees answered questions from distinguished senators in the plenary and further answered questions at a closed session on the security situation in the country, and also answered questions bordering on topical issues affecting the security of the nation and our neighboring communities. And thereafter, the Committee of the Whole approved the nominations of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluide as Chief of Defense Staff, Major General W. Shuaibu as Chief of Army Staff, Rear Admiral I. Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff, Air Vice Marshal S.K. Aneke as Chief of Air Staff, all to serve as Chief of Defense Staff, Service Chiefs for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole?
Yes.
Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate now confirm the nomination of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluide for appointment as Chief of Defense Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluide as Chief of Defense Staff is hereby confirmed for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Major General W. Shuaibu for appointment as Chief of Army Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Major General W. Shuaibu is hereby confirmed as Chief of Army Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Rear Admiral I. Abbas for appointment as Chief of Naval Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Rear Admiral I. Abbas is hereby confirmed as Chief of Naval Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Distinguished colleagues, will the Senate confirm the nomination of Air Vice Marshal S.K. Aneke for appointment as Chief of Air Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Air Vice Marshal S.K. Aneke is hereby confirmed as Chief of Air Staff for the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let me congratulate the new service chiefs who have just been confirmed by the Nigerian Senate in line with their constitutional mandates. And also thank the President for the selection of the nominees who have been so approved and confirmed by this august chamber. On the whole, we believe that this will renew the hope of Nigerians in respect of restoring security to our nation. Though security is everybody's business, but we found them fit and very capable. Almost all of them emerging from the theaters of war in different parts of the world and different parts of the country. So we congratulate President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for making these choices, and also congratulate the Nigerian Senate for spending the whole day suspending every other item to go into this issue of screening, approval, and confirmation. May God Almighty guide all the service chiefs, together with the Chief of Defense Staff, to add value and enhance the security of lives and properties in our dear nation. Can we say amen? Now, we stopped our earlier approval of the borrowing plans at item number 3. We had to suspend it in order to take the service chiefs. So I want to crave your indulgence that we resume that as quickly as we can. Distinguished colleagues, those in support, that we use the next 5 minutes to conclude this issue. I put the question. Say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Yes. Item number 3. Based on the foregoing findings and observations, the committee recommended that the Senate do approve the President's request on item 1, already approved. On item 2, already approved. On item 3, access aggregate external capital of USD 2.73 United States dollars, 1 billion 222 million dollars, and then 1 billion 118 billion through any of the following options in the international capital market: issuance of Eurobonds, loan syndications, bridge finance facilities from book runners, and direct borrowing from international financial institutions. Those in support of item 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The recommendation 3 is hereby accepted. 4, issue a standalone debut sovereign sukuk of up to $500 million in the ICM, with or without credit enhancement guarantee. Those in support of item 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Issue a resolution of the National Assembly approving new external borrowings as spelled out in Appendix A. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The recommendation of the committee also includes monitoring the compliance with the approved borrowing limits and debt sustainability thresholds. The committee also notes the proposed borrowing and refinancing initiatives are essential for A, bridge the financing gap in the 2025 budget, prevent Eurobond default and preserve Nigeria's market credibility, diversify funding sources through ethical finance instruments, and support critical infrastructure projects that drive inclusive economic growth. Those in support that this remain part of our approved Senate recommendations say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And finally, the committee urges the Senate to approve the President's request in full, as enunciated above. Those in support that these borrowing plans and all the contents the hearing in this report by Mr. President be approved in full, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Finally, the Senate wishes to thank the committee, and particularly distinguished Senator Wamako and all members of the committee for a job well done, and to say that now that these borrowings has been approved by the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that we should see a major leap or a major fillip in the implementation of the 2025 budget of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I thank you all. Leader of the Senate, next item, please.
What? The next item.
Leader of the Senate, I know that the mood of the Senate is that we should continue till 9 p.m. So. But just before, where is distinguished Senator Agaraga? Where is Agaraga? Okay, I thought somebody had convinced you to forget yourself. Oh, you are there? Okay, I want to read your letter. Just before, no. What is worth doing is worth doing well. Distinguished colleagues, in order for us to live on a good note, I have a letter from distinguished Senator Agaraga for your brothers. Senator Mustafa, you are forming a different Senate from the Senate we have. Today alone, I've seen so many senators coming to consult you. I'm becoming suspicious. Yes. Distinguished leader of the Senate, I'm going to hand this letter over to you because Senator Mustafa doesn't want me to read this letter. Have you noticed that, Senator Zam? No matter how he tries to distract me, I'll read this letter. No weapon fashioned against this letter shall prosper. Now, this letter is from distinguished Senator Agadaga. It actually says, notice of resignation from the People's Democratic Party and former movement and defection, he calls it defection, to the All Progressives Congress. The saying goes that change is the only permanent thing in life. Indeed, as the Holy Scriptures remind us, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens. I believe that the time for change in my political sojourn on earth has come. Permit me, therefore, Mr. Senate President and my distinguished colleagues, to recall that I voluntarily retired from the public service in 2003 to serve as Honorable Commissioner for Information, Culture, and Tourism under the administration of His Excellency Governor DSP Alamesia in Bayelsa State. This tough decision was made even after my appointment as permanent secretary at that time. And this was at a time when permanent secretaries were, even though not so permanent, but were very prominent. Therefore, I had the privilege of serving as executive chairman of the Bayelsa State Universal Basic Education Board during the tenure of His Excellency Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan as governor of Bayelsa State. Subsequent political appointments, I was honored to hold under the then administration of PDP, included my service as special advisor on establishment affairs under Governor Henry Siriaki Dixon, and later as Chief of Staff of Government House under His Excellency Senator Doe Diri during the first tenure of his administration. I wish to express my profound